I'm with Atherley and John Locke, who farm 1,300 acres in the Inman Valley, which is here in the lofty ranges. And what I'd like to talk to you both about is whether you are getting the support from your government that you would like, in that you are providing food for people in the shape of the beef cattle that you farm. Can you tell me whether they're being helpful or whether perhaps they're even getting in the way?
Well, our experience is that they aren't very helpful at all when it comes to farmers.
Let me ask you a particular question, which is, I understand that you have a reservoir on your property, a dam.
Yeah,
that's right. Now, has the Natural Resources Management Board come and seen you and said, well, this dam has a capacity of a certain size?
Well, they haven't come and seen us, but they've sent us their correspondence indicating that we have a dam over 5 megalitres.
All right. Now, how much water did they say this dam could carry?
Well, we originally queried...
what was their figure though, first of all?
Yeah, their figure was just over 5 megalitres originally. But we queried it because we didn't think it would quite be that, because we know the depth of the dam, which is basically fairly shallow, but it has a big surface area.
Yes.
And after that they sent us more correspondence and said that they have assessed the dam at 10.16 megalitres.
Right, now let me stop you there. When I said, did they come and see you, you said, no, they didn't. So in that case, how on earth do they know what the capacity of your dam is? How could they estimate it at 10.16 megalitres if they'd never been to see it?
Well, basically they take the surface area, which they've established by aerial photographs.
So in other words, they had some zitty teenager playing with Google Earth and they could see the thing and they said, oh well, that's so many hectares in extent or whatever.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they imagined what the depth might be.
That's right.
And then they said 10.16 megalitres. Now, did that sound to you about right?
Well, no, originally querying that we doubted whether it was 5 megalitres.
Yes.
It wasn't right at all.
Okay, so did you then do anything about it?
Well, we did write to them and explain that we didn't agree with their assessment.
And so did you then get it surveyed properly?
Yeah, we like through the FLAG organisation, we got it surveyed.
And FLAG is Farmers and Landowners Action Group Australia.
That's right.
So you got in touch with FLAG, and you got some financial help from FLAG.
Yes.
And you got some financial help also, I think, from Anne Bressington, didn't you?
That's right.
Who's the independent senator in Adelaide. And so she spoke up on your behalf and provided funds out of her own pocket.
Yes.
And FLAG did the same.
That's right.
So your local farmers got together kind of and helped you out. And that paid for the cost of the survey, which would have been $3,000 or $4,000, I guess.
Yes.
Now, when the surveyors did the survey, did they use zitty teenagers looking at Google Earth, or did they actually come and see you at your farm?
No, they come and saw us.
Yes.
And set up all their satellite equipment and pegged all the dam and did a proper survey.
So they were actually on the ground.
That's right. Yeah.
Doing the measurements. Did they measure the depths at different points and all that kind of thing?
They walked in and measured it and had a canoe and measured it.
So they went out in the canoe, they took depth measurements everywhere, they got a complete profile, they did the differential calculus, they worked out, or rather the integral calculus I should say, and they worked out how much water was in the dam.
That's right, yeah.
Right. So now the official figure that you got from the Natural Resources Management Board and its zitty teenager using Google Earth, that was 10.16 megalitres. What was the true answer when a proper survey on the ground was done by people who actually knew what they were doing?
Well, the proper measurement is 6 megalitres.
6 megalitres compared with 10.16. So in other words, they had overestimated by really quite an enormous proportion, by more than half.
Yeah.
And what did you think of that?
Well, what do you think? It's,
I was disappointed it didn't come in under 5.
Now, there is the practical. I can see who does the real thinking in this household. Atherley, this is most interesting. You would have liked it to be under 5, and why is that?
Well, then because the NRM board can't come and put a meter on and want levies and
charges and
charges.
So in other words, if it's below 5 million litres, then they can't pester you.
No.
If it's above 5 million litres, then they can pester you. So actually in this particular case, it would probably be fair to say that whether it was 6.1 or 10.16 megalitres didn't actually make any difference to the amount of regulation that you're going to have to put up with. But here's the thing, supposing they are going around doing this to others whose dams are a bit smaller than yours, and they really are actually below 5 megalitres capacity, and they're being told they've got to go through all this rigmarole because they say it's more than 5 megalitres capacity, they are going to be suffering regulations that they ought not to be suffering.
Yes,
yeah, that's right.
And do you get the impression, therefore, that the Natural Resources Management Board is acting competently in the way that it handles this assessment?
Well, we know with their correspondence, because a lot of their correspondence is incompetent. They state records, and with this dam, they sent us the first letter they sent stating that we owned the dam, and in 2001 we extracted water from that dam without a licence. But in actual fact, we didn't have or didn't own the land. We only purchased it basically this time last year.
So they were trying to accuse you
Yes.
of extracting water from a dam that you did not own at the time when the water they were arguing about was extracted.
That's right. So we know for a fact that their information and whatever they use is incorrect.
So they went around accusing you of what I believe is a criminal offence, isn't it? Extracting water without a licence, without having checked that you were the owner of the property at the time.
Yeah.
Now that in Britain would be a sacking offence. Any official who accused somebody of a criminal offence without having made that elementary inquiry on what I understand is a public land register to find out who owned what and when,
That's right.
that would be a sacking offence. That official would be sacked. Has he been sacked?
Well, not that we know of.
No, I wouldn't suppose so. So what do you think should now... Atherley, you want to say something?
Well, if you see a person in the offices up there, he goes along with everything. Oh, you know, it'll be all right. But if you send a letter, they'll answer back and say, oh, see this person down the somewhere else.
Yes.
They don't take any responsibility for themselves. They shuffle you off.
This is the great, the bureaucracy these days, the great art is to make sure that it's always somebody else's fault, and usually it's your fault. Yeah. That's the way they'll try and cast it. So what do you think should be done about these people? Because what I'm getting is an impression that there's a reign of terror going on here, where people are being arbitrarily accused of criminal offences, as you were. They're being arbitrarily told that their dams contain 60 or 70% more water than they actually do. Yeah. And this really is a very serious matter, isn't it? What should be done about this board?
Well,
I'd sack them all.
Now that's a very interesting thing, because I've heard that from many farmers. What they're saying is it's no good amending the 2004 Act under which they were created. The only thing to do is to sweep the Act away by an outright repeal and abolish the entire board. Atherley, what do you think of that suggestion?
I think it sounds wonderful.
And what do you think?
Well, I think that should be done, because the Act as it stands now is dictatorial, and the board are like enacting the Act, like acting on what the Act states, which is sort of dictatorial to us. It's,
well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We have a board which, in the opinion of Atherley, should be closed down, and John agrees with that, and he goes further. He says this board is acting dictatorially because the legislation under which the board was created gives them dictatorial powers. So this is a serious matter then for farmers. Would that be a fair comment?
Yes, it definitely is.
But we can't do anything on our farm unless we get their permission, or pay a levy, or pay a fine, or a licence, or something.
And how long have you been farming?
Well, all our lives.
So, kind of 150 years.
Well, together, yeah.
I'm only teasing. So, in that case, if you've been farming all this time, have you ever experienced this kind of treatment before?
No.
No.
And do you think this kind of treatment is necessary?
No.
Do you think it is in any way helping the environment which this board is there to protect?
No.
Well, it's definitely not, because they are putting all their efforts into the water, and the environment is being neglected as far as weed control and anything like that, because the last 3 days we've been spraying goss and briars and all the weeds.
Yes.
And which has been let go by neighbours, and
yes.
but not enough control under the Weeds Act. And they speak about the environment, but they're only putting all their concentration in this water business, and the environment's basically getting let go, in their opinion.
Well, both of you, thank you very much indeed. I wish you and your son Anthony and his wife every success on your farm, and I hope to be working with you and other farmers in South Australia in the future, either to put the natural resources management boards of South Australia back in their box, or perhaps, as Atherley has suggested here, to abolish them altogether and let us once again have a free country here and not a kind of Soviet state.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Thank you both.